Nancy Pfaff, and this is Sacred Quest Reno. I'm so glad you felt drawn to join me tonight. There's something in this message for you. Our focus for Lectio Divina is a quote by the spiritual master Paramahansa Yogananda, the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship. Through Lectio Divina, we take some quiet space to open to the presence of the divine by listening intently to inspired poetry and prose. As we give ourselves to the practice, we find ourselves affected by the reading. How we are affected, I call inner movements. And these inner movements are direct messages from the Spirit for you in this present time. Jerome Waddle, creator and producer of My Dragon Theater productions, is watching the chat, so do say hello. I'd love for you to subscribe by just clicking the bell, and then you'll get notices when we go live. Because the channel is non-sectarian and interfaith, everyone is welcome. Because of this, you'll find that I use a variety of words for the divine, all of them pointing to agape, that wonderful love that is eternal and unlimited. The reason I chose Yogananda was because of his personal spiritual journey in becoming one with God. Also, because my oldest friend sent me one of his quotes a couple of weeks ago. It really resonated for me, and I think you'll enjoy it too. Yogananda was born in Gorakhpur, India in 1893. He came to America in 1920 and was one of the pioneering fathers of yoga in the West. He is the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowships that have spread around the world. There may even be one in your town. Yogananda emphasized the underlying unity of the world's great religions and taught universally applicable methods for attaining direct experience of God. To serious students, he taught the soul awakening technique of Kriya Yoga. I wonder if you've heard someone say in a spiritual context, I am God, or you are God, and thought it a bit grandiose. Yet Jesus himself affirmed this in the Christian scriptures, the book of John, chapter 10, verse 34. And Yogananda said this, that we are gods. What I think they meant is that as we are inspired to shed our illusions, act on a desire to heal our inner wounds, have courage to embrace with love both the light and the dark aspects of ourselves, we realize the oneness we have with the divine, which has always been there. Then, when we live out of that oneness, we are liberated to be our true self and serve others in a life-giving way. There is an inspiring introduction to meditation in a video on the yogananda.org website. There will be a link in the description. I'd like to read an affirmation from that meditation. I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light. The divine spirit fills me within and without. Before we prepare for Lectio Divina, I want to mention that Yogananda wrote a compelling book about his life called Autobiography of a Yogi. It was named one of the 100 best spiritual books of the 20th century. It's especially rewarding for its account of a life filled with spiritual adventure by one who was aware of his oneness with God. Now, as we move towards Lectio Divina, we need to prepare. So let's take a moment now and make our space conducive to quiet reflection. Bring into your room a sense of the sacred with something meaningful to you, like a small statue, a plant, or a lit candle, or something else. Now set your intention to open your heart and mind to the divine presence, to that love that permeates the universe. There will be 3 readings with a minute of silence between each reading. The 3rd reading will be a special pre-recorded reading by Jerome Waddle. Let's calm the restlessness in our body by taking 2 long, slow, deep breaths, and I'll do that with you. Now, let's enter that place like no other place, a time like no other time. You may close or soften your eyes. Imagine that someone is with you now that you enjoy. How do you feel in their presence? What about them stands out? What would you share with them? After a good visit, you thank them, and now it's time for them to go. You realize you've been free of all your cares in this encounter. Relax now and enjoy the readings. The first reading. You are all God's, if you only knew it. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. You must look within. Don't concentrate on the little wave of the body with its weaknesses. Look beneath. Close your eyes and you see the vast omnipresence before you everywhere you look. You are in the center of that sphere. And as you lift your consciousness from the body and its experiences, you will find that sphere filled with the great joy and bliss that lights the stars and gives power to the winds and storms. 1 minute of silence. The second reading. You are all God's if you only knew it. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. You must look within. Don't concentrate on the little wave of the body with its weaknesses. Look beneath. Close your eyes and you see the vast omnipresence before you. Everywhere you look, you are in the center of that sphere. And as you lift your consciousness from the body and its experiences, you will find that sphere filled with the great joy and bliss that lights the stars and gives power to the winds and storms. 1 minute of silence. The third reading.
You are all God's, if you only knew it. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. You must look within. Don't concentrate on the little wave of the body with its weaknesses. Look beneath. Close your eyes and you see the vast omnipresence before you, everywhere you look. You are in the center of that sphere, and as you lift your consciousness from the body and its experiences, you will find that sphere filled with the great joy and bliss that lights the stars and gives power to the winds and storms.
Continue to be present to what affected you. As you come back into ordinary time, take a moment to look over your left shoulder. See what's over there. Now over your other shoulder. With focus, notice each subject, each object. Let me ask you a question. Did this reading get your attention at some point? If so, at what point? Is it clear what Source is saying to you? If so, celebrate it with some creative act, something as simple as a doodle, or searching for images online that expand the meaning. It could be cooking or something else, even working in an adult coloring book. Creativity honors the presence of the divine, and more communication between you can result. Let me tell you a story about my recent experience with Lectio Divina. I chose this experience to illustrate that inner movements in one Lectio Divina session can evolve over many months and become clearer. Those of you who have seen the introduction to our series, live streamed on May 6, 2020, will be familiar with this image called I am. I painted this image to better understand why a scripture verse provoked such a strong response in me. The verse that brought tears to my eyes and prompted the painting was from the Bible's New Testament Christian scriptures, Jesus speaking, quote, I am the root, the offspring of David, and the bright morning star, from the book of the Revelation, chapter 22, verse 16. To make this image more conscious, I painted Jesus as a root in the ground, and his head above as the bright morning star. Jesus as a human being and a divine being. Fast forward 7 months. An image popped into my mind recently, a giant round column. The column, or pillar, was planted deep in the ground. I understood that it was a symbol representing people around the world who are transformers in this current age, and I was one of them. It reminded me of Jesus planted deep in the ground. 3 days ago, a synchronicity occurred when I mentioned this online. I was in the advanced reading group led by Skip Conover, founder of the Carl Jung Depth Psychology Reading Group. Skip picked up the book, Jung's Red Book for Our Times, Searching for Soul Under Postmodern Conditions, Volume 1, page 37. He read the following, which was from a dream. Quote, a temple of vast dimensions was in the process of being built. As far as I could see ahead, behind, right, and left, there were incredible numbers of people building on gigantic pillars. I too was building on a pillar. End quote. Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychoanalyst, said to the dreamer, quote, yes, you know that is the temple we all build on. They build in India, in China, and in Russia, and all over the world. This is the new religion, end quote. Jesus, as the root in the ground, and the column or pillar planted deep in the ground, were related for me. With Skip's reading, there was confirmation that people all over the world were building pillars, and this is the new religion. People as transformers in our current age. If you're still watching this video, you are one of these people building a pillar. As you nurture and deepen your spiritual life, you are birthing this new religion by living it yourself, by bringing it into the outer world. I pray for you that you will find a teacher or a group, if you haven't already, ones who can guide and empower you to become your true self, to discover your own divinity and the work you are called to do in the world. Now, before we go, I'd like to invite you to write me at sacredquestreno@gmail.com. Share your experience with me or ask a question. I'd like to hear from you. Or you could comment here. Share with your friends and like it. To enjoy Jerome Waddle's readings, just type in Jerome Waddle in the YouTube chat bar. Thank you for joining me. May the love that passes all understanding keep you in peace.